Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to our online Kashmir Cultural Heritage Awareness Series. Today is our 71st week. And our speaker today is Sri Rajender Dhar. And the topic is Insurgency and Mystic Kashmir. We begin our prayer by Sri Ashok Subramanian. Ashok ji needs no introduction as he has appeared in our series with his divine renderings in Tamil and Sanskrit. Ashok ji lives in San Jose, California, but joining us from Chennai for his music performances in the city, as well as his daughter Ananya Ashok, who is also an accomplished Carnatic musician, busy with her performances in Chennai. I just heard from Ashok ji that his daughter got the best performer award from prestigious music academy.
Best.
Congratulations to your daughter, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
Ready?
Yes, please go ahead.
Today I'm going to sing a Diksha Kriti on Kashmir as Sharda. Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati Kalyanam Kalagatu Saraswati Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati Bala Bala Mantrana Rupini Bharati Matrika Sharirini Bala Bala Mantrana Rupini Bharati Matrika Sharirini Malali Vidarini Bhagwani Madhukaraveni Veena Pani Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati Kalyanam Kalayatu Saraswati Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati Sarajosna Subhrakara Sashivadana Kashmira Vihara Sarajosna Subhrakara Sashivadana Kashmira Vihara Vara Sarada Parangusadhara Varada Bhaya Pasapurtagakara Surachita Bada Bhuja Sobana Sweda Pankajasana Suradana Purari Guru Bhuja Hridaya Ranjani Purari Mushaka Niranjani Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati Kalyanam Kalayatu Saraswati Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati
That is wonderful. Thank you, Ashok ji. If you are going to be around, please join us again in the coming weeks.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll be.
Thank you, sir. We thank Sri Kanchi Math for our ongoing Kashmir initiatives and offer our namaskarams to His Holiness Sri Shankar Vijayendra Saraswati Swami. Kanchi Math has always been in the forefront, modestly working with the sole aim of national integration, spiritual enlightenment, and preserving the uniqueness of Kashmir, as Kashmir is our cultural heritage. We are now very pleased to welcome Sri Rajender Dhar with this brief introduction. Dr. Rajender Dhar has master's degree in management, LLB, specialized courses in labor law and training and development, and a PhD. Dr. Dhar has about 33 years of professional experience, having worked in multinational, corporate, private sector, Ministry of Commerce, and has vast and varied experience in all facets of management, corporate strategy, manpower planning, HR policy formulation, just to name a few. He has headed all districts of Delhi as Deputy Labour Commissioner, Joint Labour Commissioner, Additional Labour Commissioner, and has been steering Labour Department Delhi very effectively in all national and international forums from time to time. Conducted more than 85 training awareness programs for enforcement officers in northern India. Taking into account his vast experience and expertise in labor sector, Ministry of Labor, Government of India appointed Dr. Dhar as advisor in Ministry of Labor and Employment on labor reforms and labor codes. Retired as Additional Labor Commissioner, come Additional Secretary Labor from Labor Department Delhi, Government of Delhi in the year 2020. Post-retirement, he is presently working as District Judge, Consumer Court, Delhi. Dr. Dhar, I also see that you are an apt ghazal singer and you have given many programs and has sung as playback singer in Doordarshan and TV programs. I am sure towards the end you will finish with a ghazal. Please take over and welcome you once again and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. First of all, my heartfelt namaskaram to all my viewers, especially you, V. Shankar Sahab. And it has been really a privilege and a great honor for me to be on this international platform. My again namaskaram and good evening, good wishes to all my global viewers, friends, well wishers, and blessed ones. At the outset, I convey my sincere thanks and gratitude to Shri Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham Srimatham Samsartham in association with Madhyama Dharma Samajam and Kanchi Kamakoti Seva Foundation USA. I am sure I am being viewed almost on all parts of the globe. Whosoever is interested and inclined towards spirituality, religion, brotherhood, humanity feeling, and that is the purpose of this international platform, that it binds us together in one rope of common thinking with brotherhood feeling and togetherness and welfare of society and humanity at large. This platform has provided me an opportunity to speak on the 71st series on Kashmir culture heritage. I am also thankful to V. Shankarji, who has provided me this platform today to present my views on a topic which seems slightly complicated but not very difficult to speak on, that is insurgency and mystic Kashmir. A lot has been written in history about Kashmir as such, but I have taken a little time out from the history and I have tried to put in shape in my own words and phrases and define what Kashmir to a common man means, especially my brothers and sisters from South who might have visited Kashmir Valley as such or who might have only read about Kashmir Valley. To my such brothers and sisters, just a glimpse of Kashmir as such. Kashmir is a place known as paradise on earth. There is no doubt about it. Most of us, we have read it in history books. It's God's own creation of beauty, enhancing in abundance. Everything seems to be bestowed on Kashmir by gods and goddesses themselves. The beauty of valley has been super magnetic effect on one and all. It attracts all souls, all human beings on this earth. I have yet to see a person or come across a person who has said that Kashmir is not that beautiful. Whosoever has gone there has appreciated the beauty, especially the natural beauty of the valley. In few words, you fall in love with Kashmir when you visit on the first sight itself. And it is said in Arabic, perhaps, love at first sight. People have also defined it as Switzerland of India. And there is a phrase which I'll translate it after I read the phrase. Gar firdos bar roi zami ast, ami asto, ami asto, ami asto. I'll repeat it. Gar firdos bar roi zami ast, hami hasto, hami hasto, hami hasto. The great Persian saying, which means if there is a paradise on earth, it is Kashmir, it is Kashmir, it is Kashmir. And true to its words, it is the heart of the planet Earth in terms of natural beauty. The valley is bounded by Pir Panchal on its southwest, by Himalayan range in northeast, Jhelum in which originates from Verinag. It is a tributary of Chenab River. Just to give a little historical outlines of the valley. It is a nature's created beauty spot. People have also defined it that way. The climate is cold, majorly, be it biting winters, but the valley also has lots of freshwater streams, apart from uh, sometimes torturing winter weather, breathtaking lakes, vast dense forests, lush meadows, mighty mountains, hill ranges, excellent and scenic spots which go in beyond times and memories and live in the hearts of people who have visited the valley. To mention a few, nine beautiful valleys within the valley or spots which are perhaps nature's own creation. Gulmarg, Punch Valley, Dhar Hamu Valley, Betab Valley, Nagin Valley, Sindh Valley, Yusmarg Valley, Nobra Valley, Lolab Valley. These are a few mentioned because the list is endless, perhaps, and it will take a lot of time for me to define. I'm just giving you a glimpse in a capsule form what Kashmir means. Kashmir has also been a land of saints and Sufis and sages and is bestowed with religious wealth in abundance and wisdom. It represents a very rich heritage of saints and their traditions. The legend is of Kashmir, the first legend known, mystic legend, I would say, is Lal Ded, grandmother of spiritualism of Kashmir, is known to the world over. A lot of scholars and historians have written about Lal Ded, a Sufi, spiritually blissed soul, and a saint, Lal Ded. But many have defined her in their own manner and in their own style. There are other religious places which are very famous nationally, internationally, which the valley capsulates in its natural beauty, which are, to mention a few, Kheer Bhavani, Hari Parvat, Rishipir, Nud Rishi, Swami Jivan Kak, Rupa Bhavani are a few mystic, spiritually blessed souls which have commanded all respect and regards from all caste and creed and religions from Kashmir from times immemorial. These Sufi saints and sages still live in crores and crores of hearts of not only Indians but also our Western brothers and sisters. The history goes a little back when we talk of Abhinav Gupta scholars and other such famous saints and sages. I don't want to go very back into the history, but these are few saints and sages which I have mentioned a while ago, which have touched spiritually and blessed all souls, all individual human beings who lived in that era in Kashmir, and even today they are showering their blessings and messages to all humanity all over the globe. Valley had a very harmonious and lovable brethren culture and respectful relations between Pandits and our Muslim brothers and sisters. It was a place where there was never ever a cultural divide in any manner whatsoever. Such were the days, such were the relations, such were the regardful relations, depending on the trust, faith, confidence of mutual relations, known as the Valley of Kashmir. There were very cordial and healthy functions, participation by both the communities at all functions, all religions, get-togethers, family interactions, family functions were as good as they belonged to the same family group as such, a big clan. One could not see a division of any manner whatsoever in the valley, in the people living in the valley, ever. It never happened that way. That is what beautiful Kashmir had been a few years back. A spiritually blessed valley showering its love, affection, faith, confidence, trust among each other, and harmonious relations, grooming the society in a very systematic and passionate manner, where brother in feelings and social relationships were deep rooted in the heart of hearts. But time changes, perhaps, and the Almighty God had something different in its program, and the valley fell to a different time slot. I don't want to dig out all those things which people have seen for the last 3 decades or so, but nevertheless, the topic definitely warrants a few mentioning of those incidents and certain moments which perhaps were very tormenting on the social fabric of the valley, and they have tormented lives of large number of people who were compelled to migrate and leave the valley for obvious reasons of their safety and security. Before that, I would like to spend a few seconds on how does the insurgency started in Kashmir. What was the background? Why it started? Who started is not important. Why it got started? Insurgency as such perhaps could have been contained. That is what is a dichotomous situation, could have been contained. But the question is why it started. It's recorded in the history. If you see 1970s, 60s, 80s, there have been sporadic incidents of a little violence among the society members within the valley. However, they were very small and they could be contained with the advice of senior citizens and police as such, and saints and Sufis also played a very major role in advising people about the communities to and propagate harmonious relations within the community. And such things were contained, and they were taken care of, and they were normalized. But this used to be the practice, 1960s, 70s, 80s, and which later on took the shape of infiltration from our neighboring country, which has been happening for quite some time. This got aggravated precisely speaking since 1989. The background of given for insurgency movement is some internal disturbance in disputed elections in the year 1987, which perhaps created a catalyst kind of a thing for the insurgency movement when a few members of legislation assembly formed an alarmed armed groups, insurgency groups, to show their supremacy and strength. Perhaps this was the beginning of bad days for the valley. I will again repeat, 1987, some disgruntled political elements of assembly who lost the election and they created a ruckus and they formed a armed gang of people to show their supremacy and strength, and this is what weakened the civic fabric of the valley. And as known to the world, that our neighboring country had always been eyeing upon that as and when the internal situation of the valley weakens from the point of security, we will enter into it, we'll get involved into it, because our own brothers and sisters perhaps never could see the future, what future has in store for the valley people. They joined hands perhaps on the wrong side of the people on the fence. Perhaps that's my take on the subject. Unfortunately, internal insurgency movements turned into militancy. A very unfortunate chapter in the history of Valley and in the history of this great country, India. It could have been contained, it should have been contained, although our respectful sages and saints were also targeted in this process of insurgency, which later on took a very bad shape known as militancy kind of a thing. With the help of external agencies, this movement of insurgency, which turned into militancy, got lot of impetus and force, and people started coming into the valley legally and illegally both by trespassing our borders. Government did the best possible effort at that point of time. I don't want to touch that subject, but it did happen very live and is known to the entire world. Perhaps neighboring countries have been urging a grudge against us. Perhaps I'm using very cautiously this word, since independence 1947. And perhaps again, they were waiting for the right opportune moment to enter and poke their nose, not only nose, but poke their head into the peaceful living of people of the valley. Three issues which I have been able to pen down according to my perception of the situation, which led to this bad times and bad moments known as insurgency movement in Kashmir. One, vulnerable population. Number two, leadership direction oblique crisis. Three, lack of sometimes government will to resolve the issue or address the issue or curb the issue. There could be various other factors, but just to name a few. At the same time, generally, insurgency is based on ethnic or religious identities, and its roots are political or economic. At relevant period of time, when the militancy or insurgency in a dilute manner was at its peak in the year 1989, 1991, 92, 93, perhaps even the government and the common man were confused what is going on, what is being demanded, and what is being done to the valley. Who belongs to the valley, who does not belong to the valley? This led to utter confusion among the common civic society members. Nothing was clear. It was a situation of exploitation by various elements without going to the details of it. The insurgency at that point of time perhaps seemed neither political nor economic. What it was, perhaps it was not known at that point of time. I would explain my point of view when I come and cover other issues relating to the development of this movement in the valley and what shape it took later on. Valley insurgency saw both planned as well as unplanned attacks on innocent people by way of everybody is known to it. Stone pelleting, bombing, kidnapping, hostage taking, rapes, hijacking, capturing of property, capturing of land, and other anti social activities. Believe me, my brothers and sisters, these incidents were never ever witnessed or happened in the valley till 1980s, 85. As I said, it was a valley of saints, spiritually blessed place. When I say spiritually blessed, means each and every stone, forget about the human beings, each and every stone, each and every tree, each and every rose, each and every lake, each and every mountain or hillock was blessed by saints, sages, and spiritually blessed persons who had taken a human incarnation in the valley. And same valley undergoing such daruma, perhaps I would say the valley wept silently in tears. What it could never imagine started happening post 1989 onwards. This politically backed up insurgency was done with purpose of gaining central control of population. I think in 1992 93 it took a different political overtones, a different political shape, or controlling and commanding territorial and its resources. This was also perhaps seen that there were some disgruntled, politically ambitious people supported by our neighboring country who wanted to have the complete control of the resources, sources, and the population of the valley. And a new kind of a thing was given birth, a new phrase got birth, autonomy. Within democratic setup, somebody is asking for autonomy. I think our constitution is very flexible. We have seen with the passage of time that whatever is demanded by the civic society or whatever is need of the society, the constitution is amended from time to time. Of course, there is a process and procedure laid down in the constitution itself how to amend the constitution. But within constitution, when you have where a freedom of movement, you have every right available to you under the constitution, you still demand autonomy. That means you are wanting everything from the state, but you want still independence, independent government to run, rather parallel government to run. This created a political gap and difference of opinion between the central government, whosoever was in the power, that's not being discussed, and the demand, perhaps. It was a very fancy demand kind of a thing, which further created a lot of problem and friction and dispute among peaceful living people of the valley. Under the garb of autonomy, they started working against the central government. It saw massacres, again, rapes being done on human bodies, loot, dacoity, land grabbing, house grabbing, burning of houses, stone pelleting on others, and other acts of atrocities and violence against humanity and brotherhood of the valley, of the people of valley. I sometimes imagine what could have been the status of mind of sages and peers and Sufi saints of the valley when they would have lived to see this point. I would perhaps say that they would not have preferred to live even to witness such scenes of arson and atrocities being committed to the people of the valley, to the innocent people of the valley. But most of them had not lived that day. Perhaps good for them. They could not have withstood such brazen incidents which happened against the people of the valley. Of course, some of them were there and some of them are still continuing there. And they did their best possible efforts and attempts to normalize the environment of the valley. However, when the youth of the valley is misguided and takes up to guns culture is born, and peaceful living becomes a distant dream for the people who were living in the valley. Initially, it was in the shape of a movement, but later on, it became a terrorist movement with infiltration from neighboring countries and other Islamic countries, who not only provided religious push to the movement but also provided arms, arsenal, money, which means adding fuel to the fire. A very unfortunate cult, a very unfortunate times for the people of the valley. Government also did its part, but perhaps it could have been contained more effectively. That is my point of view on this subject. Worst to the scene, unemployment youth took up terrorism as their profession, as their employment, and they never bothered to look into the advice and adhere to the advice of their parents or their saints, sages, Sufis, who did definitely advise them not to kill their own brethren. But this pelleting of stones or throwing of arsenal started generating money for them, and they took this as a opportunity for employment. Thousands and thousands and thousands of youth were misled by perhaps perverted brains and minds, and who wanted to grab power and grab control over the valley and misutilize the youth energy at that point of time. This also defeats the whole purpose of democratic process, like the country that we belong to, and misguiding youth and using their energy and their youth power for such activities perhaps is very shameful for every country, including us. At that point of time, it was again a very exploitative and very explosive situation in the valley. And the year continued to pass. It happened for quite some time. However, in the year 1990, militancy was at its peak. Unsafe, unpredictable, dangerous situations led to mass exodus of Kashmiri Pandits, Hindus from the valley, mainly Hindus. Our Muslim brothers and sisters also were forced to fled from the valleys because their life was also in threat, in danger. They also fled. But for Kashmiri Pandits, it was a genocide. It was an exodus kind of a thing, leaving their own homes in thousands and thousands. Some have got the opportunity to close their homes. Some ran away with their keeping their houses and lands and property open, left unattended, and had to fled overnight. The pain, exodus, got agony, sufferings, what not have the people seen, those who were forced to fled from the valley. They are perhaps now foreigners in their own valley, foreigners in their own house, and rest is a history which is known to all and everybody in the world. A lot has been written on this topic, insurgency and militancy movement in Kashmir. But here I am to give you an overview kind of a thing, what all had happened. Perhaps my views were just a revision of what all had happened in beautiful valley known as Kashmir. Now, coming down to the mystic Kashmir, which I still profoundly believe that mysticism would again come to the rescue of the society at large, and again will generate enough brotherhood feelings, love for each other, regard for each other, sharing of concern, care, and passion among the community feeling. And once again, that day perhaps is not very far off. It is far off, admittedly understood, but not very far off, where people will again have faith, confidence, and brotherly feeling and respect and regard for each other, and perhaps shall start their living in a most beautiful and in a most lovable, fashionable, and respectable manner as were prior to the starting of this bad chapter in the history of Valley. Kashmir Valley is known by many names, as I said. Reshwar is a Kashmiri is a word which means a valley of rishis and saints and sages. Reshwar is a Kashmiri term. Garden of sages in English, so to say. True to its name, this holy land has produced a galaxy of saints, sages, Sufi preachers. Some of them professed Buddhist faith. Some advocated Shiva philosophy. Some belonged to Sufi order, and some were spirit, spiritually blessed poets, and some were clairvoyants. Now, with such a combination of blessed souls which Valley had, we question ourselves, how come we have lost all that? And why have we lost all this? Why have we fallen prey to different ideology, which is a split ideology, break the human beings, loot them, kill them, run away? Why you will run away, gentlemen? What you will take? What remains is all what you do in your karma. You live with your karma in this world itself. The moksha, if you want to have moksha, do proper karma, do justified karma, live brotherly, have respect, regard, and blissful feeling for each other. Perhaps they didn't understand that point of time. Our sages, spiritually blessed people, and Sufi sons also preached the same theory right in early Kashmir Valley, and today also they are preaching the same thing. Perhaps it is failure on our part, we human beings, we mortals. We don't understand the message of brotherhood feeling and living in a society which generates faith, confidence, and respect for each other. It's our failure, not failure of somebody. And we must accept our failure very with an open heart and mind. If our heart and mind are closed, gentlemen, my ladies and gentlemen, we will never improve upon. We will never understand our sages and spiritually blessed souls on this earth. We need to have a relook inside ourselves to see why don't we perceive our these such messages. Perhaps we need to raise our antennas higher up in the air to understand, to receive the messages of saints, sages, and philosophers and spiritually blessed souls who could teach us, our master teachers. That is where we fail ourselves. We need to re-examine ourselves on that account. In the 8th century, a distinct philosophy called Kashmir Shiva Darshan was re-established. I'm talking of 8th century. And scholar saints like Somanand, Utpal Dutt, Bhattakatta, Abhinav Gupta, and others emerged and changed the whole philosophy of life way back in 8th century. If you go back in history, you will see how rich our culture has been, which has been always backed up by spiritual philosophy of saints and mystic people. In 14th, I'm coming down to, in 14th century, there was advent of Islamic and many Sufi saints emerged who were highly influential and influenced the faith and tradition of Kashmir. These saints and sages impacted large number of inhabitants of Kashmir. When I say inhabitants, it includes Hindus, it includes Muslims, it includes Jains, it includes Buddhists, it includes everybody who at that point of time lived in Kashmir. That was the impact of sages and saints of Valley. These people were inclined towards peace, piety, purity, brotherhood, and Valley had great saints. Again, again blessed saints again emerged in 14th century. Yogini Laladet, as I mentioned, Nand Rishi, another legendary Sufi saint, Rupa Bhavani, Paramanand, Krishnuju Razdan in Kashmiri, Krishna Razdan otherwise. Prakash Ram, Sufi saints, Shamas Fakir are a few to name with. These are the people who have played their innings with the mortals, human beings, fantastically well, preaching the message of love, affection, respect, and regard for each other. The list is endless, just to mention a few more. Swachha Karkal, Shah Garur, Nayama Sahib, Wahab Kahar, Rishi Pir, Kashikak, Mirza Kak, Nandbab, Bhagwan Gopinath, Mathura Devi, Swami Lakshmanji. Just to mention a few, and such the list goes on and on and on. I don't think there is any other state or place in our country which has produced such large number of sages and saints at different periods of history and the time as Kashmir has produced. These saints and sages touched one and all souls of Kashmir and had mystic touch on all human beings. Even their looks could play miracles, could do miracles. That was the effectiveness of such blessed people who blessed the valley and the people of Kashmir at relevant period of time. Siddhis and miracles by these saints created made world of difference on those who never believed in all their mighty God and Creator. One incident and the people will fall in their feet and pray to the Lord that give us all wisdom and love affection to live mystically, to live blissfully, and have respect for each other, especially respect for humanity. That was the ultimate message given by all these saints and Sufis. Mystics. Who are mystics, by the way? The term seems to be a little ambiguous, but however, to make it a little simpler, my take on the word mystic is mystics are persons with who are spiritually blessed souls and are gods in human beings, in the shape of human beings, who are who have come to bless us all and show us the path of love, respect, confidence, faith, brotherhood, worldly order, and peace and humanity and love for each other. That is the ultimate aim of all mystics of the world. Love, peace, spiritualism, brotherhood, humanity, and community feeling, respect for each other has always been the message and the goal of mystics of Kashmir. However, as I said, I repeat that two, three lines, that is our failure by not understanding their clear message and their intentions. Perhaps we also treat them at par with us. We are highly mistaken. They are much, much above than normal mortal human being like you and me. It is our failure system which defeats us, not the mystics of Kashmir or mystics of the world. It is our failure to understand their message. This perhaps would come to an end someday. Perhaps I see it very soon to end, where the peace filled living of the valley shall be restored again, and people will start living in good confidence, faith, love for each other, respect for each other, and shall have a communal harmony in all respects and aspects of life. And here I would like to end my views on the topic. Thank you very much.
That is perfect timing, Rajender ji. It was a wonderful presentation. You made a good summary of all the events, but very careful with the choice of words. Always saying that it's our failure. And I hope people understand what you are trying to convey. Um, There are few questions here.
Yes, please.
Somebody has posted a question. Yes, Panju
Please.
says, as on date, can a citizen go freely all over the valley, seeing the beautiful places? I guess as long as you are not a Kashmiri, visitors can get in and get out. That's what he's trying to. Is it true?
Yeah, I would love to reply to that, respond to that. Yes, it is definitely possible to go. People are going and people have been going to the valley as a visitor, especially the political environment and the conditions have undergone a change after the Article 370 and 35A were invoked, were taken out. The political environment definitely has improved a lot. However, you still have that element of threat in your mind, it still continues to happen. And there are sporadic incidents of little firing here and there, but downtown. But the valley as such is quite safe, is quite pleasurable for visiting at the right this point of time, which it was not about, say, 4 5 years 6 years back. There is a change, definitely a remarkable change, a visible change for all the visitors.
No, after watching our episodes, series, one of my ex-colleagues from the UK visited Kashmir. He just
Yes,
wanted
please.
to see the temples, and he never felt threatened. Although he felt in some places it's a bit scary, but nothing happened. And
Nothing happened.
you mentioned somewhere that among the Exodus, Muslims were also there.
Yes.
Why they were part of the Exodus?
You see, when Shankar Sahab, when youth is misguided, this can happen in any part of the world. When youth is misguided and they take to this gun culture and start generating money, somebody is paying them money to create violence and imbalance in the society. They don't look whether they are visiting Hindu's home or a Muslim's home. So Muslim people also got affected. I stay in Delhi and I have 4 5 people around my neighbors. If you listen to their story, they are all Muslim brothers. I mean, it is very, very heartening to know what sufferings they have undergone. And well-read people. Some of them are general managers retired from the insurance company. One of them is a doctor who had a roaring practice in Kashmir. And the way they were thrown out, pushed out, threatened, and in the middle of a night, the two families had to wind up their luggage and whatever they could close, and ran away to a BSF camp and came to Jammu first, stayed there for 6 months, and then shifted to Delhi. After reaching Delhi, they just have a great feeling of freedom of mind, heart, and soul. They breathe easily. The first thing they told me, sir, Dr. Dhar, we are able to breathe freely. We now feel we are in India. What a feeling. I was thrilled to talk to them. I said, great, great. This is our government. Well, let us admit it. This is the Hindus were never against you. I'm also a Hindu. Then I invited them to for a cup of tea, gave them a lot of respect, regard, love, affection, and whatever help they needed they were migrants to Delhi. Similarly, I know at least more than 150 families. I'm associated with this kind of movement also, and they were also targeted by the misguided youth. So they were also part of the exodus, along with the Pandit community as such.
Now, I understand that you mentioned in several instances, you talked about our failure. When you say our failure, I presume you are including the entire population, including the Muslims. Because you also
Yes,
mentioned earlier that no division of any manner, coexistence,
right.
brotherhood. So, what people are supposed to, infer from this when you say our failure, when they hear, including that community and the population in Kashmir, they should protest or revolt against the current situation when the killings happen. But hardly I see any revolt happening. when somebody gets killed, especially a Kashmiri Pandit, do we see the population revolting or they are brainwashed?
See, I won't say because Kashmiri Pandits as such being highly qualified community in Kashmir, and they are not gun type culture. They don't support in any manner. Even today, the communities, although has got exodus and faced a lot of economic problems and problems of healthcare and livelihood problems, but being well-read community, they again stood on their legs and are doing wonderfully well in their individual life, except for few percentage who still live in the tents in Jammu Valley or still are of that level, but very few. But what concerns me was when this insurgency began in the year 85, 86, 87, 88. Those 4 or 5 years were very delicate. They should have contained. It is that at that point of time, majority of the population, precisely speaking, the Muslim brothers there, got misguided by politically ruled bosses under the garb of autonomy, which remained which remains still unexplained. In a democratic setup, what do you mean by autonomy? You can't be dependent for resources on the central government and have your own parallel run government. It's impossible. It doesn't happen in a democratic setup. But they were misguided that look, we want autonomy, and for autonomy, these Kashmiri Hindus, Pandits need to be thrown out of the valley. Only then you will have a majority state where all our Muslim people will live, and only then we'll have a wood force to ask, negotiate with the central government. This is where people, even Muslim brothers, have gone mad. I'm using the word, I'm sorry for that, using that word, should have had a rational thinking and should have listened to our sages and saints and preachers. Believe me, our sages and preachers are so wonderfully blessed people. They never discriminated between Hindu and Muslim. Whosoever went to them, they all had the miracles for both of the community. So it is our failure in understanding the spiritually blessed message. One, it is our failure to understand the wisdom people preaching at that point of time. They were carried away by some negative political thoughts, and that is the reason it led to insurgency turned into militancy. Militancy led to exodus of Pandits majoritarily, and a few Muslim brothers were also made to run from the valley. And our neighboring country played a very, very negative role in all happenings of the valley. It is there our people could have contained it. Forget about the government. Government does what it has to do. Our preachers, our saints, our Sufis also played a very important role in guiding people, but they never heard. They were misled. It is those people, if they had not participated in such insurgency movements, perhaps the day of militancy could not have ever happened in the history of Kashmir. That's my take on that. That's why I have repeatedly mentioned in my speaking that is our failure. Failure to understand the political language, failure to understand the spiritually blessed language also. Both the failures on our account. Now perhaps we understand.
Yeah, I hope a
After two
message
years,
gets through. Yes.
we understand, yes, we should have heard, we should have listened to the government advices, we should have listened to our saints and Sufi sons at that point of time. That is what I meant. That is our failure. People don't have to
I
revolt.
hope.
People have to go with the right kind of thinking. People don't have to take to guns. People have to listen to the positive message within heart, connect to the Almighty God, because their wisdom comes from the top. You don't generate wisdom, but listen to the right kind of people. You are going against your own country. That is the message which they have failed to receive and understand at the relevant point of time.
No, but occasionally we also hear from some politicians that Kashmir is not complete without Pandits returning back to their places. Once in a while, this talk comes, but it's not taking shape, or there is no such plan. What politicians talk about? Do you really believe in those words when politicians say. Very recently, also, we heard somebody talking about it.
Yes, yes. Without naming, but I also witnessed that scene. I also heard. I also was very conscious in saying so. But it is next to impossible. Why so? Because in the initial years, like when this movement started, Exodus, maybe next 5, 7, 10 years, people had a lot of hopes. Today, 30 or 31 odd years have already passed. All their people who were 30 years of age now have become 61, 62. Their children have grown up, they have got married, their children have got children also. People have settled abroad in foreign countries all over the world. Even India, they have settled now. Now, how you can expect old people who have become senior citizens now to go back and settle in Kashmir Valley when their children, sons and daughters who are settled somewhere else? They have fear, they have concern for their safety and security. Children cannot go back to Kashmir because Kashmir, as such, does not have any industrial policy, industrial factories, or multinationals or corporates. So there are no developmental economic activities not happening there, except for only a few activities of tourism related activities. So they don't see their career development growth anymore there. So there's no question that parents, old people go back to the valley and their children stay outside. It's very next to impossible. Number three, where are the houses? They are in highly depleted conditions. They have become almost as caves, and some of them have been burnt also. Now, government has to first take a major decision of rebuilding those houses or give them compensation. And once compensation is paid to those people, they will never ever settle down back in Kashmir. They will take that money and purchase property outside Kashmir. I don't think it is too late a situation wherein we can think of Kashmiri Pandits returning to the valley until these things are ensured and assured. But even then, it's a very difficult situation for people to consider to go back to valley when their children have settled, they have got married, they have become nana, dadas, and everything. Very difficult for them to think of going back.
No, but at least we want to keep that spirit alive, doing in a small way, explaining to people about the situation in Kashmir. Like you said, it's a paradise and a treasure house of knowledge that is uncovering now one by one. We have got done in about 70 episodes, we have done our presentations. All
Right,
of them
right.
talk about the same thing that you mentioned about compassion, brotherhood, love, feeling among Kashmiri Pandits that existed long before. But hopefully, I think things will change with the developments taking place there now.
I'm giving Shankar Sahab a small incident to you. Why it happens that when a Kashmiri Hindu and a Kashmiri Muslim, when they are out of the valley, they develop love, affection, feeling, regard, respect for each other more. But same people when they are in Kashmir, they go tangents away. Why so? The place also plays a very important role in the heart and mind of both the Hindu and the Muslim. The Hindu, whenever he visits valley, he internally feels that look, I am surrounded by all Muslims. Anything can happen to me. It's his perception. Nothing may happen, but it's his
Yeah.
perception. For example, we go to London or America and we feel that I'm surrounded by all white people. You feel isolated at times, until you see some Indian and then you hug him. Why it happens? So place also matters a lot. Therefore, we need to create that confidence, faith, love, and affection in the people of Valley. Kashmiri Pandits definitely visit. I also visited the valley in the year 2019 or so as a visitor. But if I am asked to settle down there, perhaps I'll think 10 times. Can I should wind up my daily operation and business or job or whatever I'm doing and go back to Kashmir? It could be a very big question mark before me as far as settlement in Kashmir is concerned. But that faith, confidence, and love affection needs to be first created, generated, and then a platform can be given to people who have migrated from Kashmir to go back, see, live for some time, and see for themselves. That seems a little challenging task, but not impossible. Not impossible. Nothing is impossible. It's all human creation. We need to only change our mindset for positive things. I'm very hopeful should happen very soon. That's my view on this issue.
No, that hope will have to be there because we are talking about one country. It's not a foreign
Yes,
country. We are
yes,
talking about
yes.
the same country,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
it should be possible. Well,
Right.
Rajender ji, thank you so much for your time and your valuable inputs. I'm sure people are listening, and some people would have taken some notes, and whatever strategy they are working on, I think all this can be included. Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
we look forward to, as always, seeing you again when time permits.
Thank you. My namaskaram to all my brothers and sisters. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, viewers. As he mentioned, there are still hopes are there, even though they're given all the narratives and the explanation of how things are there and the feelings of Kashmiri Pandits. Hopefully, in the near future, we'll be talking to these Kashmiri Pandits right from the valley and explaining how things have changed. We'll wait for that day. We thank consumer channels, Kamakoti.tv, YouTube channels, Facebook, and our leading Tamil, only leading Tamil newspaper, Dinamalar, for giving coverage of our lectures every week, and also VDSP for all the streaming support. We look forward to seeing you again in the new year. That is going to be the next program will be on January 14th. We'll be meeting twice a month from next year onwards. As we don't want to close this program, we want to continue, and so we're going with a slower pace. Once again, we thank you and look forward to seeing you next year. Hare Hare Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara.